Look closely at your life. Really look. Strip away the illusions, the excuses, the stories you've told yourself to make your softness feel acceptable, and you'll see something chilling. You were not born weak. You were made weak. From the first day you opened your eyes, the world began programming you. They whispered lullabies of obedience. They handed you chains disguised as kindness. They told you to say sorry for things that weren't your fault, and they smiled when you obeyed. They told you to forgive people who betrayed you, and they praised your patience while secretly feeding on your silence. You thought you were being noble, but it was never nobility. It was control. This is how weakness is born, not through choice, but through conditioning. They wrapped you in comfort, teaching you that safety matters more than strength, that fitting in matters more than standing out. They told you to wait your turn, to lower your voice, to bend your back under the weight of other people's approval. And so, piece by piece, the fire that could have made you powerful was smothered under layers of obedience. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He saw what the rulers of the world have always known. The masses are kept docile for one reason, so they can be ruled. Your weakness isn't natural. It isn't who you truly are. It was installed in you like a virus of obedience, a virus of guilt, a virus of fear, and you've been carrying it your entire life without realizing it. But here's the secret they fear most. The moment you wake up, the moment you stop apologizing for existing, the moment you say no without explaining yourself, the moment you walk away without guilt, that is the moment you become dangerous. That is the moment you become undeniable. This is not about cruelty. It's about clarity. It's about reclaiming the power that was stolen from you, because weakness is not kindness. Weakness is not morality. Weakness is a death sentence in the game of power. Think about the jungle. In the animal kingdom, weakness is not pitied. Weakness is preyed upon. The weak don't get mercy. They get eaten. And the human world is no different. No one respects the fragile. No one follows the hesitant. And no one fears the forgiving. The world doesn't care about your intentions. It only reacts to your image. Appear weak, and you will attract predators. Appear forgiving without power, and you will invite betrayal. Society tries to hide this truth with comforting lies. They tell you, nice guys win in the end. They tell you, patience always pays off. They tell you, if you just wait long enough, people will recognize your value. But that is the language of slaves, and it has kept millions chained, waiting for a reward that never comes. The truth is sharper. Nobody respects the person who tolerates disrespect. Nobody fears the one who forgives everything. Nobody follows the one who hesitates. The cost of weakness is subtle at first. You lose respect. People stop listening to you. You become invisible. But over time, the cost grows heavier. You get betrayed. You lose opportunities. You fail to control your own life. And one day, you wake up realizing you have lived not as a ruler of your own destiny, but as a servant to everyone else's will. Weakness is not just emotional softness. It's indecision. It's over-explaining. It's always asking instead of taking. It's fearing consequences more than desiring power. And here's the cruelest part. Weakness becomes a habit. It disguises itself as virtue. You convince yourself that your hesitation is morality, when in reality it's just fear dressed up to look noble. So the first step, the most important step, is recognition. You must look at yourself in the mirror and call out your weakness without excuse, without shame, without mercy. You must strip away the masks you've worn your entire life and admit, this is where I have been soft. This is where I have been afraid. This is where I have allowed myself to be broken. Because until you do that, nothing changes. Until you admit the truth, you will live and die as someone else's servant. But once you recognize it, once you shine a light on the weakness, something powerful happens. It begins to die. Awareness is the beginning of transformation, and destruction must come before rebirth. Think of weakness like a parasite. It cannot survive once exposed. It feeds on your denial, your excuses, your blind loyalty to the lies you were told. But when you finally say, "No more," when you finally refuse to tolerate the weakness inside you, that parasite begins to starve. This video, this very moment, is your firewall, your reset button, a chance to burn out the emotional programming, the guilt, the doubt, and the fear that have kept you powerless. From this moment on, you are no longer a slave to the illusions they fed you. You are no longer apologizing for being strong. You are no longer waiting for permission to exist. You are not born weak. You were made weak. And that means you can unmake it. You can strip it away. You can return to what you were always meant to be. Dangerous. Not dangerous to others, but dangerous to the systems, the manipulations, and the chains that once controlled you. This is part 1, the death of illusion, the breaking of the mask, the recognition that weakness was never your nature. It was your prison. And now, you hold the key. If weakness was something you were taught, then what exactly did they teach you? What lies did they feed you to keep you soft, predictable, and harmless? Because weakness doesn't survive on its own. It needs fuel. It needs illusions. It needs you to believe in a story that chains you to the floor while convincing you you're standing tall. Let's tear these lies apart, one by one. The first lie, moral superiority. They told you it's better to be kind, better to forgive, better to suffer quietly than to stand up for yourself. They told you that goodness is its own reward. But look around. Who wins in this world? Is it the kindest? Is it the most forgiving? Or is it the most strategic, the most ruthless, the ones who know when to smile and when to strike? History doesn't celebrate the endlessly forgiving. History remembers the decisive, the relentless, the powerful. The truth is this: you don't rise in life by being good. You rise by being useful to power or by becoming power itself. Morality, when wielded without strength, is nothing but weakness wearing holy robes. The second lie, time is on your side. Be patient, they say. Your time will come. Just wait. But time is not your ally. It is your assassin. Every second you hesitate, someone colder, bolder, and hungrier is taking what could have been yours. While you wait for life to reward you, they are already moving, already claiming the ground you should have taken. The world does not wait. It devours. And time devours you most of all when you confuse stillness with strategy. The third lie, equality. They told you we're all equal, that everyone has the same chance, the same value, the same destiny. But equality is a myth sold to the masses to keep them passive. Look at nature. Do all animals have equal strength, equal intelligence, equal cunning? Number. Some dominate. Others are dominated. That is the law of existence. To believe in equality is to blind yourself to reality. In truth, your choice is simple. You either lead or you are led. You either take control or someone else controls you. The fourth lie, stability. They told you to crave stability. A steady job, a safe home, predictable outcomes. They told you this was success, but stability is nothing but a cage with golden bars. It kills your ambition. It dulls your instincts. It turns lions into house cats. You stop chasing. You stop growing. You stop adapting. And while you cling to stability, the world shifts under your feet and leaves you behind. Power does not live in comfort. Power lives in chaos. The strong are those who can make decisions in uncertainty, adapt when nothing is guaranteed, and carve opportunity out of disorder. The fifth lie: guilt. Perhaps the most dangerous of all. Guilt is the leash society ties around your neck. They want you to feel bad for wanting more. They want you to feel selfish for cutting people off. They want you to apologize for saying no. But guilt is nothing but weakness in disguise. It keeps you trapped in cycles of hesitation, wasting your strength on people and systems that drain you. You owe the world nothing. Your only obligation is to become formidable. And here's the brutal truth. These lies survive because they are comforting. They whisper safety. They promise belonging. They tell you that if you just stay patient, obedient, and forgiving, everything will work out. But comfort is the slowest form of suicide. Comfort tells you to rest before you've earned it. Comfort tells you to stay where it's safe instead of where you'll grow. Comfort lulls you to sleep while life passes you by. It is a poison disguised as peace. If you want to kill your weakness, you must kill the lies that keep it alive. You must strip them down until all that remains is the raw truth. And the truth is darker than most people can bear. Power is not given. It is taken. Respect is not earned by waiting. It is enforced by action. Loyalty is not rewarded. It is exploited until you no longer serve a purpose. And the world does not pity the weak. It consumes them. So here is your choice. Stay weak, stay comforted, and stay invisible. Or become violent with the truth. Tear off the masks, reject the narratives, burn the lies they used to tame you, because once the illusions are gone, what's left is clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. And that clarity is the foundation of strength. This is part 2. The death of comfort, the rejection of illusions. The moment you see the world as it truly is, not equal, not stable, not forgiving, not patient, but ruthless. And if you can accept that, if you can live in that reality without flinching, then weakness no longer has a home inside you. Weakness is not always loud. It doesn't always look like fear, trembling, or running away. Often, it disguises itself. It wears a mask. It pretends to be something noble, something moral, something good. And that is why it's so dangerous. Because it convinces you that it's your identity, when in reality it's nothing more than a habit. Think about it. People don't stay weak because they enjoy it. They stay weak because it's familiar. Because comfort is more seductive than growth. Because the soft voice of hesitation always whispers safer than the roar of ambition. Weakness doesn't cling to you because you chose it. It clings to you because it feels like home. From the moment you were born, you were surrounded by soft poison. Be a good person. Wait your turn. Don't be selfish. Everything will work out in the end. These weren't lessons. They were lullabies. Songs to keep you asleep. Songs to keep you predictable. And the system? The system was designed exactly that way. Obedient people are predictable. Predictable people pay taxes, follow orders, and live quietly. They don't cause problems. They don't rebel. They don't rise. They live safe, quiet lives. Then they die. And the system replaces them with another obedient soul. That's why weakness feels so natural. Because it was designed to feel that way. It's been installed in you since childhood, reinforced by parents, teachers, culture, society. You think it's your personality, but it's not. It's programming. And the cruelest trick? Weakness convinces you it's morality. You hesitate, and you tell yourself it's patience. You over-explain, and you call it kindness. You avoid conflict, and you label it peace. You cling to the familiar and you pretend it's loyalty. But all of it is fear. Fear wearing the mask of virtue. So how do you break it? How do you shatter a habit that's been carved into your very identity? The first step is recognition. You must call out weakness for what it truly is, without excuse, without shame, without mercy. You must look at every soft edge in your life and admit, this is fear, this is hesitation, this is obedience. And until I rip it out of me, I will remain powerless. The second step is violence. Not physical violence, but violence with the truth. You cannot gently untangle weakness. You must burn it. Tear it out like a parasite. Crush it every time it shows up, until it no longer dares to whisper to you. Weakness thrives on tolerance. You cannot tolerate it. You cannot compromise with it. You must starve it. And here's where most people fail. They try to cure weakness with motivation, with speeches, with inspiration. But motivation is fuel for emotions, and emotions are the breeding ground of weakness. You don't destroy weakness by feeling stronger. You destroy it by thinking colder, by becoming strategic, by replacing emotion with calculation. Because what makes weakness a habit is not just the actions you take, but the reactions you repeat. Weakness reacts emotionally. Strength acts strategically. Think about your daily life. You get angry and someone provokes you further. You get offended and someone silences you. You crave love and someone manipulates you with it. Emotional people are predictable, and what is predictable can always be controlled. But when you calculate, when you replace reaction with strategy, you break the cycle. You stop being readable. You stop being controllable. You stop being breakable. Every decision becomes deliberate. Every move becomes purposeful, designed to gain leverage, preserve reputation, increase influence, or destroy quietly. Breaking the habit of weakness means walking away from your old self. The version of you that apologized too quickly, forgave too easily, waited too long. That version must die. You must kill it without guilt, without ceremony, without hesitation. Because the truth is this: weakness is not a flaw. It's not a mistake. It's not something to pity. Weakness is a choice. Maybe not at the beginning when it was programmed into you, but every day after recognition, weakness becomes a choice. A choice to remain the same. A choice to cling to comfort. A choice to wait for salvation that will never come. And once you understand that, there are no more excuses. No more hiding behind morality. No more disguising fear as virtue. The habit of weakness only survives in darkness. Once you drag it into the light, you either kill it or it kills you. This is part 3, the exposure. The moment you realize weakness is not who you are, but what you've been trained to be. The moment you stop tolerating it. The moment you decide to cut it out like a cancer, even if it means killing the soft version of yourself in the process. Weakness is not natural. It is not permanent. It is not destiny. It is a habit, and habits can be broken, but only if you are ruthless enough to break them. If weakness is a habit, then strength is not an accident. It doesn't fall from the sky. It doesn't arrive through luck or good intentions. Strength is engineered. It is built brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision. And the foundation of all true strength is this: a cold, strategic mind. Do not mistake coldness for cruelty. Do not mistake strategy for emptiness. A cold mind is not a dead mind. It is a disciplined one. It is a mind that refuses to be dragged by impulses, poisoned by emotions, or manipulated by others. Think about how most people live. Reactive. Something happens, they react. Someone insults them, they react. An opportunity appears, they react. But when you live only in reaction, you are always a step behind. You are being played. You are the piece on the board, not the player moving the pieces. A cold strategic mind flips this. It moves first, it plans, it calculates. It doesn't ask, what should I do right now? It asks, what move today sets me up for the win tomorrow, next week, next year? That is the beginning of true power. Now here is the uncomfortable truth. Emotions will always try to sabotage you. They are fast, they are loud, and they are seductive. Fear whispers, don't take the risk. Anger screams, strike now without thinking. Desire tempts, take the easy pleasure. And every time you listen, you trade the long game for the short one. But a cold mind? A cold mind doesn't ask, how do I feel? It asks, what does this cost me? It doesn't chase validation. It measures leverage. It doesn't crave attention. It builds influence. It doesn't rush for comfort. It waits for dominance. This is the exact quality that made Machiavelli unforgettable. He understood that the ruler who thinks with his heart will lose his crown. The general who makes decisions from rage will lose the war. The leader who governs from pity will lose the throne. Emotions can inspire, yes, but they cannot rule. Only calculation can rule. So how do you build this cold, strategic mind? You train it like a muscle. You start with the small battles. When anger comes, you don't suppress it. You redirect it. You don't explode at your enemy in a moment of weakness. You study them. You observe. You let them think you've forgotten. And then, when they least expect it, you strike. Not with rage, but with precision. When fear comes, you don't deny it. You analyze it. You ask, what is the actual risk? What is the actual cost? What is the worst outcome? And 9 times out of 10, you'll see fear for what it really is. An illusion, a shadow, a liar. Fear shrinks when the mind dissects it. When desire comes, you don't indulge it blindly. You weigh it. You ask, if I take this pleasure now, what does it cost me tomorrow? If I delay it, what power does it buy me later? Desire is not your enemy, but undisciplined desire is your leash. This is training. Every time you stop reacting and start calculating, you are rewiring your mind. You are shifting from weakness to strength, from habit to mastery. And with enough repetition, calculation becomes automatic. Strategy becomes instinct. But let's be clear, this path will isolate you. The majority of people around you are emotional creatures. They will not understand your silence. They will not understand your restraint. They will not understand why you do not rush, why you do not beg, why you do not flinch. They will accuse you of being heartless, cold, inhuman, and you must accept that. Because to them, you are. You are no longer part of the herd. You are no longer a victim of impulses. You are no longer weak. You are untouchable. Now let me give you the deeper layer. A cold strategic mind is not just about defense, it's about offense. It doesn't just protect you from manipulation. It turns manipulation into a weapon. With calculation, you can see the desires of others before they see them themselves. You can anticipate their moves, exploit their patterns, feed their weaknesses, and guide them toward the outcome you want, all while they believe it was their choice. That is the highest form of power, invisible influence. Power that doesn't scream, doesn't brag, doesn't announce itself. Power that moves silently, shaping reality in your favor, while others remain blind to the fact they are being guided. The cold mind creates this power. The emotional mind destroys it. Which one you choose will determine your future. So here is your law for this part. Never act from emotion. Always act from position. Position is everything. Position decides whether you are the hunter or the hunted, the ruler or the ruled, the player or the piece. This is part 4, the construction of the cold, strategic mind, the breaking of the emotional leash, the transition from victim to player, from piece to master of the board, from weak human to calculating force. You will not build this overnight. But with each decision, each restraint, each calculation, you sharpen the blade of your mind. Until one day, it is so sharp, so precise, so untouchable, that no weakness, no manipulation, no betrayal can ever cut you again. Power is rarely announced. Loud people get noticed for a moment, then forgotten. Power is a quiet consequence. It is the silence that carries weight. It is the person who doesn't need to shout because their stillness makes other voices sound small. This is the art of silent domination. The skill of controlling outcomes, shaping environments, and steering people without drama, without spectacle, and without leaving a trail. Silent domination begins with perception. People trade reality for the stories they tell themselves. They react to impressions, signals, and patterns long before they analyze facts. The person who can control perception controls behavior. The clever manipulator doesn't force, they suggest. They do not debate, they set a frame. They do not explain, they create context. And within that framed context, choices evaporate into inevitabilities that favor them. So how do you become this quiet architect of outcomes? There are 5 rules, 5 surgical principles that separate the loud from the lethal. Rule 1. Master the stillness. When you enter a room, do not fill every silence. Your silence is a tool. Let others reveal themselves. People talk too much because they feel safe in noise. But while they spill their intentions, you collect information. Watch, count, listen for what they cannot say directly. A calm presence draws attention without trying. It forces others to fill the vacuum, and in doing so, they expose vulnerabilities, desires, and lies. The stiller you are, the more noise you gather as intel. Use it. Rule 2. Control the frame. Frames are the containers of meaning. If you can define the frame, you define the debate. People argue within the frame you offer. If you claim the narrative, if you define what matters, you win before the first counterpoint. Learn to set terms, define the problem, propose the metric for success, outline the timeline. When you control what counts, you control the outcome. The best controllers don't get bogged in arguments. They create the playing field. Rule 3. Use scarcity and timing like weapons. Scarcity makes people move. When resources or opportunities appear limited, decisions accelerate and mistakes multiply. Time compresses rational thought and inflates urgency. If you can create perceived scarcity or control timing, delay a reveal, hold back information, make an offer fleeting, people will act on instinct and desire rather than on measured judgment. Timing is the invisible edge of dominance. Strike when they are unprepared, offer when they are thirsty, retreat when they are grasping. The one who masters timing controls the rhythm of the game. Rule 4. Weaponize kindness and mimicry. Do not confuse kindness with weakness. Strategic kindness is an instrument. Give small favors that create disproportionate obligations. Mirror language and body posture to build rapport and lower defenses. Let them see their reflection in you so they assume intimacy where none exists. Then, when trust is earned, use it to extract value. Emotional indebtedness is a currency. Spend it wisely. You will never be generous without price. Every kindness you give should increase your position. Rule 5. Erase endings. People often misjudge power because they only see moments. The truly dominant do not seek applause. They seek outcomes that endure. Endings are brutal and absolute, and when you make moves that are reversible, you leave yourself exposed. A calculated erasure, the quiet severing of a tie, the silent removal of a lever, sends a deeper message than any argument. When you erase a bridge, people learn boundaries. When you withdraw without drama, you show that you are not dependent. Endings that are invisible are most painful. They teach faster and cost less. Make decisions irreversible when necessary. Let your absence be a lesson. These 5 rules are the mechanics, but they must be driven by a higher engine. Patience in cruelty, clarity in motive, and execution in calm. The silent dominator is patient in their cruelty because cruelty is not venomous. It is surgical. It is cutting what weakens you, then moving on as if nothing happened. This is why they call it cold. Not because it hurts more, but because it is immediate, efficient, and unemotional. It is cruelty with purpose, not with spite. Now let's look at practical moves you can use immediately, real actions, not theory, to become someone whose silence causes others to misstep. Move 1. The long withdrawal. When pressured, do not argue. Withdraw slowly, deliberately. Make absence count. People will panic because they expected you to beg, to chase, to explain. Instead, your silence forces them to show you their hand. They will overcommit, reveal desperation, or expose a lie. When you return, you come with information and leverage. Never return to the same terms. Use absence to reset value and remind others of your worth. Move 2. The controlled leak. Information is power. Share just enough to shape perception, then stop. The controlled leak creates curiosity and positions you as the source. People will seek you out, ask questions, and reveal motives. When they do, you gather intel. When the time is correct, release the rest. Keep them wanting. Keep them uncertain. Uncertainty is your ally. Move 3. The mirror trap. Reflect their language, imitate their tiny gestures, mimic their metaphors. People love themselves. They trust their own reflection. When they see you acting like them, they assume alignment. Use that moment to soften their defenses and anchor their expectations. Then shift the frame subtly so the choice slides into what you want. The mirror trap is silent and elegant. It makes the target act as if they had chosen freely. Move 4. The slow squeeze. Domination is often a process, not an explosion. Apply gradual pressure, small constraints, tightened over time. Reduce options piece by piece. Move bargaining chips slowly until the other side capitulates out of fatigue or resignation. People break not from sudden force, but from prolonged, patient pressure. The slow squeeze is merciless and effective. Move 5. The invisible hand. Make others feel like the outcome was their idea. Seed suggestions. Watch which take root, and then amplify them to the point they believe it was their plan all along. When people think they lead, they defend the path fiercely. Guide without being seen. Influence without ownership. That is the art. If you practice these moves, a transformation occurs. People stop arguing with you. They stop testing you. They begin to move around you. Influence becomes habitual. Rooms change when you enter because behavior has been calibrated to avoid your displeasure. That is silent domination. But beware. With dominance comes a cost: isolation, envy, and the constant threat of coalitions against you. The powerful are often the target of alliances. You must plan for betrayal and prepare contingencies. Keep a network, but keep it transactional. Relationships should be judged by utility, not sentiment. The fewer emotional debts you carry, the fewer places there are for others to grab when they want to pull you down. Also, beware the trap of spectacle. Loud domination is fragile. It crumbles when tested because it depends on performance. Silent domination survives tests because it is based on structure. It is not a show. It is engineering. If you must demonstrate strength, do it through outcomes. Contracts won, territories controlled, reputations intact, not through noise. Now, a word about ethics, because someone will always ask. This path is not for everyone. It is harsh, precise, and often lonely. It will require you to sacrifice easy comfort and soft attachments. If you are not willing to pay that price, then do not pretend to be its master. This method is a tool set. It can be used for protection, for survival, for personal sovereignty. It can also be abused. You must decide what you are building and why. But understand this: reclaiming yourself from those who would control you is not immoral. It is practical. It is necessary. It is inevitable for anyone who refuses to be prey. Silent domination is not about being cruel for cruelty's sake. It is about being decisive, unflinching, and strategic so that your life is governed by your terms, not theirs. It is about moving through the world like a quiet consequence that corrects itself, making sure you are never again at the mercy of the loud and the grasping. This is part 5. You are learning to dominate without announcing it, to control without drama, and to influence without detection. Practice the rules. Execute the moves. Build the architecture of silent power. The world will adapt. People will learn to respect the absence of noise. And in that silence, you will find the deepest kind of control, the kind that reshapes reality to your design. You have dismantled weakness. You have built the cold, strategic mind. You have learned the art of silent domination. But there remains one final step. It is not enough to rise. You must stay risen. It is not enough to win. You must remain unbreakable after victory. This last part is about maintenance, about permanence, about becoming untouchable. Because the truth is, power once gained is constantly under attack. Every enemy you defeated waits in the shadows for your slip. Every ally you trusted may turn when your silence offends their vanity. Every weakness you thought you killed will try to crawl back into your skin. The ascent is not a single climb. It is a lifetime of vigilance. So how do you stay unbreakable? How do you make the transformation permanent? There are 3 pillars: detachment, adaptation, and legacy. If emotion is the leash of the weak, then detachment is the armor of the strong. It is the ability to be present in the game without being enslaved by it. This means no attachment to outcomes you cannot control. If a move fails, you do not collapse. You adjust. No attachment to approval. Praise and insult carry the same weight. None. Both are distractions. No attachment to possessions. Wealth, status, comfort. They are tools, not chains. You can enjoy them, but you must be ready to abandon them the second they compromise your freedom. Detachment does not mean you feel nothing. It means nothing owns you. It means you can walk away from anyone, anything, any throne, and still remain yourself. That is what terrifies others. They cannot manipulate a man who has nothing to lose. Weak people break because they refuse to bend. Strong people bend because they refuse to break. Adaptation is the skill of survival. It is not rigid. It is not stubborn. It is fluid. The environment changes, strategies fail, alliances collapse. But the cold, calculating mind never freezes. It absorbs new data. It shifts position. It evolves faster than the threat. Think of Machiavelli's prince. He survives not because he is loved, nor even because he is feared, but because he adapts to the winds of fortune. When cruelty is needed, he is cruel. When mercy is required, he is merciful. Not because he feels it, but because he calculates it. He adapts roles like masks, wearing whichever secures the throne. You must do the same, Do not cling to identity. Do not cling to methods. Do not cling to the past. What worked yesterday may kill you today. The untouchable are not statues of stone. They are rivers, bending, flowing, reshaping, but never stopping. At the end, all power faces one final enemy: time. No matter how strong, no matter how feared, no matter how untouchable, time will test you. And this is why legacy matters. Legacy is not about fame. Fame is noise. Fame is shallow. Legacy is depth. Legacy is the imprint you leave on the structure of reality, the proof you were here, that you reshaped the world in some way that cannot be erased. Some build legacy through bloodlines, others through institutions, others through reputations so deep that their name echoes for centuries. Machiavelli himself was exiled, silenced, stripped of power. But his words endured. His strategies survived, and today, centuries later, his shadow still teaches you. That is legacy. And legacy does something critical. It frees you from desperation. When you are building for legacy, you stop grasping at every small win. You stop needing every argument, every battle, every coin. You think bigger. You move slower. You act with patience because you are engraving stone, not painting air. Legacy makes you immortal. Not physically, but strategically. Now understand this. The path to becoming untouchable will test you endlessly. You will face temptation to soften. You will face betrayal from those closest. You will face your own shadow self, the weaker version of you clawing to return. That self will whisper, "Rest. Stop. Be like everyone else." And you must kill it again, and again, and again. This is not a one-time execution. It is a daily murder of the softness within you. It is a war with the weakest parts of yourself. And only those who never tire of killing their weakness will remain untouchable. But when you do, when you commit to detachment, adaptation, and legacy, you become more than a man. You become a force. A silent storm that bends rooms, shifts outcomes, and reshapes futures. You become the kind of person who cannot be threatened, cannot be broken, cannot be controlled. The world respects this more than anything. People follow it, even as they fear it. Enemies bow to it, even as they plot against it. History remembers it, even as it erases the rest. This is part 6, the final ascent. The transformation complete. The weak self erased. The strategic self built. The silent dominator crowned. From here on, every day is a test. Will you remain untouchable, or will you collapse back into weakness? That is the only choice left. And if you have listened this far, if you have walked with me through the dismantling of weakness, the construction of strategy, the art of silent domination, then you already know your answer. You will not go back. You will not kneel. You will not soften. You will not be controlled. You will remain untouchable.